If you're only making money by listing jewelry online for sale, I think that you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Now, one of the things we all know about reselling, especially jewelry reselling, is that it can be really unpredictable. And so, what I'd like to talk about today is ways you can kind of offset that predictability and have additional streams of income that can work both now and long term. So that's what we're going to talk about today, jewelry friends. Hello. My name is Desiree, and you know that I am your jewelry reselling bestie. So last week, I had mentioned that multiple streams of income is kind of something that I've been doing for a while. Well, not kind of, something that I have been doing for a while throughout my jewelry reselling and my reselling journey. And a few of you had mentioned that you would like me to do an entire episode talking about some additional ways that us jewelry resellers can increase our income or at least have additional streams of income because reselling, although it's great and you can make a lot of money, let's be honest, it's not always an ideal way to generate an income. And, sometimes things happen, life happens, and, what we're doing now as jewelry resellers may not always be exactly what we want to do or what we can do as life throws these changes our way. So, what I think too is that some of the most successful resellers, especially jewelry resellers, don't rely on only one source of income and don't rely on only one platform, like we've talked about. Most of the successful resellers I know have multiple things that they're doing in order to generate cash. Now, sometimes these things can be easy, sometimes they may take a little bit of work. Some of them are passive, some of them are semi passive. But I'm going to share with you what I do, and I'm going to give you 20, well, actually more than 20 ideas that you can implement or at least start researching now. And maybe you can see if some of these ideas will work for you. All right. So I don't want you to feel, overwhelmed, and I don't want you to feel like you have to do all of these things, but at least, come to this with an open mind and maybe consider how you can implement some of these ideas into what you're already doing. Now, some of the ideas I'm going to talk about today, actually most of them are going to be jewelry reseller specific, but some of the ideas are going to be what I like to call jewelry reseller adjacent, meaning that they're not actual jewelry reselling methods or ideas, but they pair along nicely with what we do as resellers and specifically jewelry resellers. So I think this episode is going to be fun. I hope it's going to be really informative and inspiring for you. And I also really want you guys to think about, how you can have more control over the money you're making and how frequently or maybe the amount of money that you're making. Because, like I said, jewelry reselling can be very unpredictable. And, sometimes you may not want to work at the same level or intensity that you may be working at now as things happen. I know I have gone through this several times throughout my jewelry reselling journey where I was in it, in it to win it. And I was hustling and I was grinding. And now that I've kind of moved through different seasons of my life, I realize that I don't always want to do that. Even though I love jewelry reselling, and I've shared this with you all before, I don't always want to be working at the same intensity as I was in years past because I just don't. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. Maybe it's because I've got so many other things that I'm doing. But, I like to have options. And I always preach this to you in the sense of you don't want to have to be locked in or forced into just one thing. And I think we're starting to learn that now as the whole reselling culture landscape is changing, and we don't really have a lot of control over that. right? Like we don't have control what the over what the platforms do. We don't have control over what our buyers do and what they don't do, but we do have control over what we do. And so that's going to be the focus of today's episode. So, like I said, I really hope that it inspires you, and I hope that it gives you some motivation to maybe try some of these things. Now, I've been reselling since 2007, and I have learned and tested and tried and failed at many of these income generating ideas. And some of them have worked for me, some of them have not. I've spoken about this topic publicly. And, I just want to, at least from my own experience, give you the ideas that I know work because I have tested them, I have made them work, and I have implemented them, like I said. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And if there's something that maybe I talk about today that you have tried or maybe don't agree with, or maybe there's something I don't mention on this list, feel free to leave it in the comments and share it, because that way all of us can benefit and all of us can kind of expand our thinking and really, get some ideas about how we can make these things work. All right. So number one, I think this is, I guess I should start off by saying these are like the core jewelry income streams. All right. These are the things that a lot of us are probably already doing or at least thought about doing. Okay. Online marketplaces, basically, that's what we already do. We already sell our jewelry on platforms like eBay, Etsy, whatnot, Poshmark, and so on. So each platform, has a different type of buyer, has a different type of setup, has a different type of potential as it relates to how much money we can make. But of course, you're never locked into any one. And I know a lot of us sell on multiple platforms, and I think that's really, really good, right? Because it increases our options and it increases the likelihood of us making a sale. So, number one was online marketplaces. Number two, and this is something that I've done, and I think it can really, really work, depending on how much you put into it. And that is local and in person sales. Now, when I say local sales, that could be at your local antique mall, it could be at maybe one of those little craft fairs or shows, conventions, whatever. If you have some of those locally where you're allowed to rent a vendor space, I think that's an excellent way. And I also know that a lot of you do this. Sometimes you can do this as an ongoing thing, and sometimes it's seasonal, right? We're starting to move into the holiday fairs, the craft fairs, the fall festivals. And I've talked about this before, that this is an excellent way to sell some of your jewelry and your jewelry related items. All right. So, like I said, antique malls, flea markets, pop up shops. And the nice thing about this is, like, you usually don't have to make a huge long term commitment. When I was selling in my local antique mall, I only had to do a contract that was, or a lease that was month to month. I know some of them do have 6-month leases, some of them have year-long leases, but whatever, you can still make it work depending on, what works for you and what the rules are of the particular place that you are renting a space from. All right. And for the most part, this is pretty affordable too, because I know when I was selling in my antique mall, I had a glass case and my monthly rent was $100. And thankfully, I did sell enough to cover that. But there were some months where that was all I sold, where I made just enough to cover the monthly rent. So make sure you do a little bit of research before you commit, to an antique mall or something like that. All right, number three on my list is consignment or vendor partnerships. I do know a couple resellers who do this, where they consign some of their jewelry pieces in local boutiques or consignment shops or wherever, depending on what type of businesses you have in your area. Selling jewelry could be a nice complement to what they're already selling. If they sell clothing, accessories, or maybe they sell a different type of jewelry, and then your jewelry, maybe handmade, maybe vintage, could pair nicely with that as well. All right, so you can partner with local boutiques, and this is nice because this is one of the more passive ways of making money. or selling your jewelry, because you don't have to physically be there and you know sell. Right? So you're just basically leaving your stuff there. If it sells, you get a percentage, usually split that with the person that you are consigning with. All right, so that's another option. Again, this is probably not something that is going to bring you money like all of the time. Well, I guess it could, depending on the volume of stuff you're selling and how much you're selling. But again, it's another way to have an additional source of income. All right, number four, this is something I've done, and this is bulk lots or starter kits for beginners. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process of working on some of these bulk lots right now for my website. Um, Now, the thing is you're going to have to be really, really specific and really, really picky about this because not everybody's looking for the same thing, right? So if you're going to make like creator or beginner create beginner lots, that's going to be very different from someone who is a seasoned jewelry reseller and knows exactly the type of jewelry he or she wants, if they're looking for certain brands, certain sign pieces, certain styles. So again, you can do this. You're just going to have to be very, very specific, and your lots need to be very, very curated. So this takes practice too. And again, it depends on where you're going to sell these lots. If you're going to sell them on eBay, if you're going to sell them on whatnot in a live show, it may be something that something you want to think about, right? But you can make a lot of money doing this. There was a time when I was selling craft bulk lots, and I was selling them almost daily when I had a lot of them, and I sold a lot of them in my antique mall space as well, because I was the only one selling them and they were very popular. So again, this is something that can be very lucrative. And the nice thing about selling bulk lots is that your average sales price, per item is going to go up, because most bulk lots are usually going to start around 40-ish dollars, and then they'll go up from there. You can even sell some of them for up to $200. I've seen that. So, think about what you have and how you can bundle it together so it is a good deal for you as the seller as well as your buyer. All right, so that is section one, core jewelry income streams. We talked about online marketplaces, which I think a lot of us are doing, local and in person sales, consignment or vendor partnerships was number three. And then number four was bulk lots or starter kits, right, for beginner jewelry resellers, or maybe just people who love jewelry. All right, so let's move into section two. Now, these are jewelry services. So, this is something that you can offer in addition to reselling your jewelry. Number five is jewelry cleaning and polishing. I actually know a reseller who does this, and she does very well. Now, this is something that you're going to have to figure out how exactly it's going to work for you. The way the reseller, I know the way she does it is she sells jewelry, and then she adds an additional fee if the buyer wants that piece cleaned and or polished. All right, so you can sell your jewelry pieces as is, and then maybe tack on another $20 fee and say, would you like this piece polished and cleaned before I send it out? And the buyer will probably say yes or no. And then you can, instantly add a little bit of additional income to that sale that you already made. Now, this particular reseller, she sells her jewelry on her own website. And so that's just an add-on fee or an add-on service that the buyer can purchase. I don't know if you can necessarily do that on a site like eBay, because I don't think it gives you that option. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you do have your own website, that's a great add-on service. Number six, the same thing with repairs or restoration. So if you know how to fix jewelry, if you know how to replace stones, maybe fix some prongs, maybe fix the backing of a brooch or something like that, minor repairs, or fixing clasps or stuff like that, you can definitely have that as an additional service as well as a jewelry reseller. And I think it pairs quite nicely because sometimes people will buy something from you and then months later they'll say, "Oh, can you fix this?" I've actually had that happen on eBay where somebody bought something from me and I don't know what happened, but the piece broke. And then she messaged me months later asking, did I do jewelry repairs, because she wanted to get the piece fixed. So that's another way that you can make money. So think about that if you are, handy with jewelry repair. All right, number 7 is appraisals and identification services. Now, this is something where you're going to have to get certified, but I do know that there are some jewelry resellers who are ready or who are in the process of becoming certified jewelry appraisers. Now, I don't know a whole lot about it, and I don't know what the cost and the time is, but if it's something that appeals to you, this is definitely a way that you can make money. You probably can do this full time instead of jewelry reselling, because I know there's always people looking to have jewelry pieces appraised. So that's another option for you too, if you're willing to put in the time and, like I said, the cost of getting certified. So there's different training programs or certification programs. Like I said, I don't know the cost of all of them. But this can actually be a high ticket service. And this is something that you can charge top dollar for. All right. Because all of the appraisers I know, they are, it's not cheap, especially depending on the piece, right? Because it's a lot of knowledge, it's a lot of study, it's a lot of research in some cases. All right. And not only that, but you can also, um, maybe partner with estate sale companies or auction houses too, and find additional ways to make money through those places as well. All right, so it's just an idea. All right, number 8 is a personal shopper private sourcing. This is something I've done. I actually still do this from time to time. I do have some regular buyers who will actually pay me to find specific jewelry pieces for them. Now, of course, this is going to depend a lot on how frequently you're going out, what type of sourcing you have access to. But this is something where you can definitely make money. I've even had some of my buyers request certain things. Um, oh, if you find this, can you let me know? Or if you find this, I'm willing to pay X amount of dollars. So if you are really good at sourcing, or you have really good sourcing places, this is something that you can definitely offer your buyers, and it becomes like an elite or a concierge service in some ways too. All right. So basically, your buyer can, tell you what they want, and you do the hunting, and then you obviously will charge them for the piece as well as whatever your service fee for that particular service or item. All right, number 9 is, and this is a fun one. I actually just saw somebody doing this on Instagram. This is jewelry styling and jewelry rentals. Yes, did you know that just like Rent the Runway, where you can rent beautiful evening gowns, you can also rent jewelry and accessories. So if you have a lot of high-end pieces that maybe you might want to rent out to somebody, this could be something that you can do, right? And it doesn't even have to be high end pieces. It could just be statement pieces. You can rent out statement pieces for photo shoots, events, or productions, or anything like that. This works well if you already have an inventory of unique vintage jewelry pieces or costume jewelry pieces. So, and I don't know how that would work. I think from what I understand is you can, like, the person who's interested in renting, you charge their credit card for a certain amount, and then when they return the piece and it's in, still in good condition or whatever, I think you refund them a portion of that. I think that's how it works. I've never done it, so I don't know. But it can probably also work as a subscription too. I think that's how Rent the Runway works. I'm not sure. I've never used it. But like I said, this is something, if you have a lot of, like I said, beautiful statement pieces, this is something you can do. And this is something that I think could make you a lot of money, maybe even more than reselling, depending on, at what volume you do it. All right. So that was idea number 9. Now we are moving into section number 3, and this is digital and content based income streams. This is my favorite. This is my sweet spot because I don't know if I've shared this before, but one of my goals has been to have a business that was inventory free. Doesn't mean I still won't do jewelry reselling, but I didn't want to have a business that was dependent on physical inventory because I see myself potentially traveling and doing a lot of things in the near future, and so I didn't want to be weighed down or tied down with inventory or being limited, you know to a specific location. So that's why I'm really attracted to the digital products and the digital income streams. And so we're going to get into that now, starting with idea number 10, and that is digital products. One of the things I've been doing for decades now, and you probably have seen it here on the podcast, I do have a series of ebooks that are available that you can buy, and I talk about them pretty much on every episode, or at least I link them in every episode. I should say that. All right, digital products. These are things like ebooks, guides, printables, pricing spreadsheets, sourcing checklists. All right, you make it once and you can sell it forever, over and over and over again. The one thing I love about digital products is this is probably the most passive income that you can create for yourself because you do all the work up front, and then there's pretty much no maintenance once it's done and once you have it listed, for sale. Now you may do updates here and there or maybe, correct things, but for the most part you do the work once and the money just comes in. Now, this doesn't mean that the money's coming in every single day or you're going to make, the same amount every day. But the nice thing about this is that you literally can make money in your sleep. And I make money every single month from my ebooks, and I haven't worked on them since I since I uploaded them. All right. And so, whatever knowledge you have, and this could be something related to jewelry or it may not be, it doesn't have to be. You may know all of the best sourcing spots in your city. I had a lot of people asking me, where do I go in Vegas? And so that's why I created the Ultimate Thrift Shopper's Guide to Las Vegas. That's one of the ebooks that I sell. And you can make one similar for your city. All right. There's really no limit, and there's endless ideas of how you can make this one work. All right. So, oh, and while we're talking about digital products, today's episode is brought to you by Jewelry Bestie, your AI powered best friend that instantly helps you identify, describe, and price your jewelry. All right, if you are interested in learning about this tool, which I created, it is a software tool that I made specifically for jewelry resellers. All you got to do is head on over to jewelrybestie.com. All right. Okay, so let's move on to number 11, which is online courses or workshops. Now, this is a lot of fun. I have seen a few resellers do this, and I also have an online course, vintage, selling vintage jewelry, how to get started. I can't even remember the name of it, but I'll have it linked in the description if you are curious. But you can teach all kinds of things, right? And it can be jewelry specific or it may not be. But you can teach how to find jewelry. You can teach maybe a specific type of jewelry, a specific type of jewelry era. You can do all kinds of things. All right. So think about, what do you know? What are you really good at, and how can you package that in a way that you can deliver it to someone who wants to learn that specific, skill or that specific topic. All right. Now, the other thing about the online courses or workshops is you can pre-record these too. You can, um, record on Zoom, and you can sell the recording. You can do a live stream, a private live stream on YouTube. There's so many ways that you can deliver this, and it's even easier now than when I first started doing it. All right, so just keep that in mind. All right, idea number 12 is coaching and memberships. There's a few reselling coaching groups out there. You can make a lot of money doing that. I know several resellers who do this, and I think it's great to create a community, and it also helps, it helps you to really feel confident as someone who is creating and giving value. I think that's really where, all of this, or what all of this boils down to, is that you are creating value for, your community, your followers, your subscribers, as well as yourself, because you are the one organizing this for them. So think about that. Think about how you can help people or assist people in some way. Now, of course, this could be jewelry specific, but it doesn't have to be, right? You could be really good at something else and you can teach others, how you did it and how you navigate the journey. Okay? Because people do pay for information and they like to hear from someone who's got real world experience doing the thing that they're interested in doing. The other thing about the coaching and memberships is that this is a nice way to have recurring monthly income. All right. So think about, maybe you charge a monthly fee, to your members, and they pay every month. And then you offer, a live call every week, or maybe some classes, or maybe some Q&As, whatever makes sense for you. All right, number 13, affiliate partnerships or affiliate marketing. Again, I have been doing this for over a decade and I make money. And this is another way that could be considered passive income as well. Now, I think a lot of you already know I am an Amazon affiliate, but I'm also an affiliate for a few other products as well. And the thing about affiliate marketing is, like, you probably won't make a ton of money, but you do make, a little bit here and there, and it does tend to add up over time. I think the easiest affiliate program is the Amazon affiliate program, and I have linked some of my Amazon affiliate links in the description, and I share just some of the tools that I use to run my jewelry reselling business. So you can do the same thing. You can also, Amazon sells everything. So whatever products you use, it doesn't have to be jewelry stuff. It could be your makeup, it could be things in your kitchen, whatever. You share your link, and then if someone clicks on it and buys that thing, you get a commission. Now, Amazon commissions are not huge, but again, if you're, sharing a link and 100 people click on it and buy something, that could be pretty substantial. So, I know I talked about this where, Amazon affiliate, it's just running in the background. I don't have to do anything. Once I share my link, that's all I have to do. Um, the potential buyer clicks on it, they go to Amazon, they shop, and then Amazon fulfills the order. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to pack anything. I don't have to deal with returns. I don't have to deal with customer service. All my job is, as an affiliate, is to drive traffic to that link, and hopefully somebody buys buys something. All right. So think about becoming an affiliate. Like I said, it's a great way to have money just kind of on autopilot, once you share your link, and you can have that running in the background. Okay. Number 14 is content creation. This is my favorite. Well, it's not my only favorite, but I do love creating content, as many of you know. YouTube ad revenue, of course, once you get your channel monetized on YouTube, you can make money every month through the AdSense program. And you can also do sponsorships, TikTok shop. You can do brand deals. There's all kinds of ways that, as a content creator, you can monetize your content. All right. I also use my content as a way to promote my digital products, as a lot of you already know. So think about that too. Some of these ideas that I'm talking about, they can be multi-layered ideas, right? You don't have to just do one. You can do several of them all at the same time, all together. All right. That's the beautiful thing about this. All right, so that was section number 3. All right, digital products, online courses or workshops, coaching or membership groups, affiliate programs, affiliate marketing, and number 14 was content creation. All right, so now we're getting into section 4, which is jewelry adjacent and creative ideas. All right, so this um, like I said, it doesn't have to be jewelry specific, but I'm going to talk about some ways we can make it jewelry specific. So, idea number 15 is a subscription box or mystery lot subscription. Now, I do know one reseller who does this. I think she does it on Patreon. I think she's still doing it, where you join her Patreon and then every month she sends you 6 jewelry pieces and you don't know what they are. But I think her promise is that all of the pieces are signed and all of the pieces are, sellable. They're either wearable, or if you're a reseller, you can resell the pieces. So I think that's a great idea. And I think she does really, really well doing that. So you can do something like that too. Monthly jewelry boxes for collectors or fellow resellers, like we talked about. And it's a great way to move inventory and to build a loyal customer base. Right now, if you are going to do this, make sure that the pieces you send are high quality, because that's going to keep people coming back. Like I said, the other reseller I know that does this, she says that all the pieces are signed. So I think that's really good, because you're going to get something decent, and you're going to get something that, if it's not your style or you don't like it, you can definitely resell it. All right, idea number 16 is jewelry storage and display solutions. Now, this is something that kind of came to me the other day when I was thinking about this episode, and you can sell jewelry stands, trays, boxes, travel cases. You can sell that stuff. You can buy it wholesale from places like Alibaba, right? And you can sell, jewelry stands, and you can sell these things that jewelry resellers or jewelry collectors love and need. And you can make a whole business doing this, being a wholesaler or an importer or whatever. All right. So it's just an idea. And I don't really know anybody doing that, but I do know people who wholesale jewelry. But I don't know anybody who's wholesaling the things we need to organize and display our jewelry. So that could be an untapped market for some of you. Number 17 is brand collaborations. All right. So you can partner with jewelry stores, you can partner with other jewelry sellers, you can partner with maybe even marketplaces or other platforms. Anybody, you know, or anything that makes sense with jewelry, right? So I have done partnerships with other software tools, early on. And I know some of you have seen some of those episodes. And, so I bring you things that could be useful to you as a jewelry reseller. And partnerships may not always be paid. Sometimes you will get free samples, or you will get, if it's some type of a service, you may get like a 6 months of the service for free in exchange for partnering or collabing with that particular company, platform, whatever. All right. So this is another way that you can make money, or you can get some of the things you need either free or for very low cost. So just stay open to this. Now, partnerships and collaborations aren't always easy to come by. If you are a content creator, you pretty much do need to have an established following in order for the partnership or the collab to make sense and be beneficial for both parties. But some of you do have really big followings, and some of you do have really established and engaged audiences. And so this is a way that you can potentially make some money from that. All right. All right. Idea number 18 is licensing or private labeling. All right. Now, this is something I've thought about. I haven't quite pulled the trigger, but this is something I've been thinking about too. All right. So you can create your own jewelry care products, and you can white label them with your branding. So there's a whole a whole nother avenue. to make money. Now, this is obviously going to take an investment up front, for you to buy the products and to get them labeled with your branding. But it is an idea. Some of you are in the position to do this. Some of you are making really good money as jewelry resellers, and maybe this is just the next logical step. So think about it, and maybe it's not something you're ready to do today, but maybe you might be ready to do something like this a year from now or 6 months from now. Like I said, I've thought about this. I may still do it, but it won't be anytime soon. So some of you, maybe you might be able to do this a lot quicker and a lot easier than I can do it right now. All right, so that was section 4, jewelry adjacent or jewelry creative ideas, the subscription boxes. We talked about jewelry storage, organization, and display solutions. Number 17 is brand collaborations. Number 18 is licensing or private labeling. All right. Now we are into section number 5. This is skill based and passive diversifying your income. All right. So this is where you're really going to tap into using what you already know outside of jewelry. Right now, I've done this and I still continue to do this. And this is one of the main ways that I do make money. And that is idea number 19, social media management or consulting. Now, I'm sharing this because this is what I do. This may not be your skill set. This may not be even something that you want to do, but you probably have additional skills and experience that you can use to sell that as a service to someone who may pay you, may want to pay you for it because they need that specific service or skill. All right. So you can help other resellers grow their online presence, maybe as a VA, which is a virtual assistant. Maybe, like I said, doing social media management where you post for other resellers because they're too busy or they just don't want to or they just don't know what to post. All right. So as a reseller, you kind of already know what works and what doesn't. And so you can use your knowledge from that as a way to support other resellers, or maybe not even resellers, maybe just other small businesses. Okay. Idea number 20 is listing optimization or copywriting services. Now, I know there is a reseller who actually does this. She will review some of your eBay listings and help you make them stronger. She will critique them and give you some ideas on how to make stronger listings, stronger titles. So that could be a service you offer. It doesn't have to only be, jewelry listings. If you're really good creating strong eBay listings, that could be something that you can offer as a service. Idea number 21 is product photography. Some of you are really good taking pictures, and I know that's one of the things a lot of resellers don't like to do, and they would love to outsource their photos. Now, this is something you probably would have to do locally, so you can get the stuff, photograph it, and then take the stuff back or go to someone's house or office or whatever and take the photos for them. So I'm pretty sure this would have to be done locally, but that could work for some of you. Idea number 22 is affiliate marketing in related niches. Now, we did talk about affiliate marketing earlier, but what about affiliate marketing in things that are not resale specific, right? There could be software tools, tools like Canva, Opus Clips, they all have affiliate marketing programs. Even eBay has an affiliate marketing program. Etsy does. I know stores like Target do, right? So pretty much all these companies out there have affiliate marketing programs that you can join. All right. And it doesn't have to be resale specific. Idea number 23 is a digital product shop, non-jewelry. We talked about digital products earlier as well, but you could sell things like planning, planners, printable planners. You can also sell digital downloads as well. Pricing trackers, I have business templates, Notion templates, printables, all types of things that just make life easier. You can create these, especially if you're really, good at designing things like this, then you definitely could, sell your downloads or your printables. I know I've bought some throughout the years and I've created some. But that's another way that you can kind of make money on autopilot, right? And this could even, roll into a subscription model. If you have new printables or new digital downloads that you offer each month, it can be like a subscription thing that you do as well. All right, so those are some ideas. That's a total of 23 ideas that I shared with you today to help you have multiple income streams as a jewelry reseller. Now, I'm always on the lookout for new ideas. So if you have some ideas that I did not talk about, please feel free to share them because I think we all can benefit. And the other thing, too, is, you know, reselling is a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, we may not want to constantly do this forever, right? Because reselling is not something that is passive. It's not a business that will allow you to automate any part of it, really. Because you constantly have to be sourcing, then you constantly have to be listing, and then you constantly have to be shipping the stuff. And then you're dealing with customer service in between all of that. So there's not really a way to automate reselling, at least not now. And so there's only a finite amount of time and energy we can do this business, right? Eventually we'll get to the point where maybe physically we can't go out and source, or, maybe we can't list. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I think she said it was her mom or her aunt was a reseller, and she's older and she really enjoyed it. She just did it part time as a hobby. And her eyesight, she doesn't have good eyes. So she can't really see her computer that well anymore, which means she can't really list stuff on eBay for sale anymore. And she was like a hobby seller. So it's not like this was her main thing. But I share that story because we never know what's going to happen. We never know. I mean, not only as it relates to reselling, but just in our lives, as human beings, we never know what's going to happen. And so if the reselling thing, stopped, or something happened and we couldn't do it, are you in a position to maybe build up other income streams to make up for the lost reselling income stream? All right. Because we just don't know. And it's kind of scary to think about, but I also think it's something we need to think about and we need to prepare for, because things happen, life happens, and you don't ever want to feel like you don't have options, and you don't ever want to feel like the rug was pulled out from under you and now you have nothing, right? There was another story where a reseller, I think they had a flood or a fire or something, and all of their inventory got destroyed. And so, that's something else to think about, something that you can't control, something that you have, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, obviously, I think that reseller is still reselling and they're building up their inventory, but still, that's very scary to think about, right? It's really scary to think about. So, not that I want to end this episode on a downer, but I just want us all to have a realistic um, plan for making sure that we're always in a position to make the money we want to make and to make the money we need to make. And so if you don't have additional income streams as a reseller, consider this your sign to get some, create some, do something, because don't put all your eggs in the reselling basket. I've seen too many things happen, both in and out of our control, and I don't want any of us to have to deal with that. All right. So I hope this episode was helpful. I hope this episode was inspiring and motivating and really gets you thinking about how can I create more money doing what I already do, or maybe adding on to what I already do, right? Because you don't necessarily have to start all over from scratch. So that's going to be it for this episode, jewelry friends. I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will check in with you again really soon.